You're watching This Week in Jacksonville on Channel 4.
You know, the holidays are awesome for many and awful for some. A little different segment now as we wrap up our first show of the new year. Samm Murphy is joining us. Grew up in Jacksonville, attended Clay High School, then went to the University of Florida, and now speaking nationally, living on the other side of the country. But while you were in town, I wanted to visit. I appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
One of the things that we wanted to talk about is just that it can be tough during these holidays and sometimes starting a new year because emotions can just drag us down. I know this is something that you speak about because you've experienced this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, during the holidays, again, like you said, it can be amazing for some and tough for others. You know, things can be amplified, lack, or we have a lot of comparison. It can be stressful for some, and really some people can kind of get the blues and get down. And that is something that I personally dealt with, depression and anxiety. And for people out there, the thing really to know is that they're not alone. That it's not a weird thing, that it's not something to be embarrassed or ashamed of. It's something that personally I dealt with quite a bit. And it was sneaky for me because it wasn't kind of the classic signs that you would think when you see a commercial or something that talks about depression. For me, I had a life that looked amazing and great on paper and on social media. I was doing all the right things. I had all the right things, the great job, the family, the friends. But the problem was I was unhappy. And what had happened is I was chasing happiness outside of myself. And so many of us can get in this pattern of, I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when I get the next thing. I'll be happy when I make the right amount of money or find the right partner or get caught in that trap that we think a feeling is going to come with a certain goal rather than really getting clear. And it sounded like Bob Shercliffe did a great job of this, of really living a life clear on how he wanted to feel.
So one of the things that's heartbreaking for so many of us is seeing this happen in so many people who are young, not just 20s, teenagers, college students, high school students, even to the point of taking their own lives. What's your recommendation for moms or dads, or for those people who are going through that, those young people who say, I just don't feel happy?
Absolutely. The first thing is to really reach out and talk to somebody about it, right? So normalizing it is important. So many people struggle with this. So for them to know that they're not alone. I was somebody who dealt with this, and you know, it's not always the classic signs that we see, again, on the commercial where you don't want to get out of bed, or maybe you are having thoughts of taking their own life, or maybe it's not quite that severe. But knowing and being able to reach out to somebody, talk to a friend, to a doctor, to a therapist, to a coach, really, once you start to have that awareness around it, you have power to start to change it and do something about it. And I know it can feel very overwhelming when you're in that, but that very first step is to just kind of acknowledge it and then reach out to someone for help, because people are there to want to help. You know, and for parents to not be afraid to talk about it, because I know it can be scary too, right? To think that you feel helpless, right? How do I help? But really, you know, being able to take that step and take that action and reach out and talk to.
So a minute or less, what was it that turned things around for you so you could live a healthy emotional life?
Yeah, big thing for me was my son kind of forced me to stop running, and it was belief. I had to get really clear on how did I want to feel in my life, because I was living a life out of fear, obligation, or guilt, what I thought I should be doing, what I needed to do, what I was doing for other people. And I stopped believing what was possible for me. And so really for people to remember that whatever they want to do, whatever they can want to create, they can do that, have that, be that. And it's really coming back to the place we weren't born thinking things weren't possible for us. We learned that somewhere along the way. So really asking ourselves, you know, when did we stop believing it was possible for us? And how can we start to change that? And that first piece, again, is that awareness and that acknowledgement. And then really knowing that whatever it is that they do want to create, they absolutely can.
I know it makes a difference to me when I hear encouragement from other people, but that really has to come from inside, doesn't it?
It does. You have to be able to believe it. And that doesn't mean that you're just going to one day all of a sudden you will, but there are certain tips and tricks. And the big place is just starting with that awareness of knowing what you want to create or what you want to turn around and change for yourself.
Samm Murphy, I appreciate it. We could talk a lot longer, but we wanted to make sure that we got that out there for you. And I want to give you a tool right now. It is a hard time of year for a lot of folks. So here's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. It's 1-800-273-8255. You can also text HOME to 741-741. Again, we just wanted to talk about this, bring it up as an issue, and I appreciate sharing your story. Great to have a person from Jacksonville come back and say, hey, I'm telling everybody around the world about this.
Yeah.
Thanks for telling us.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.